Welcome, everybody, to our, special double review. I am VHS Jace. Next to me, of course, is Rick. And our very special guest tonight, our collab partner for tonight, is Peter from Kollector World. Welcome, sir.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. This is a fun thing to do because we both seen these movies now. All of us have seen it because we went to the movies together. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of knock off some of the biggest, movies being released this year. And they come out pretty quickly of each other, I think, in a couple of week releases. But first off, we're going to be talking Masters of the Universe, because I think that's the property everybody's wanting to know what people thought about it. Now, we should start it off by saying we went to the premiere. Is that right, Rick?
We did, thanks to Pete, who hooked us up with Sony, and we got to see. We went to the Adelaide premiere here, and we got to see it a week before it was launched. And there's us in front of the banner, which was pretty cool. But yeah, super excited. I've been dying to talk about this for the last 5 days now. It was last Thursday we went. So
I've had people ask me, "Oh, you went?" And I said, "Look, I can't talk about it." All right,
no comment.
Everyone in the shop like, "Nah, I can't talk about it."
It is a weird thing, though, isn't it? Like, it's not something I'm used to, where you go see a film and you've seen it, and you know nobody else is going to see it for like a week. And you can't really talk about it anyway, because you got really no one to talk about it with, you know? Yeah. And you don't want to talk about it either, because you don't want to screw up anybody's experience. You don't want to fuck
no one wants to hear it anyway, so
that's right.
Screw it anyway.
100%. But yeah, we got to the premiere of it down at here in Adelaide, the place called Marion. It still is the biggest screen. When we're watching the movie, I went, this is still the biggest screen in Adelaide.
It's big. But they've announced them on IMAX now.
Really?
It's been it's superseded all the other movies, so it'll be on IMAX.
Oh wow, there you go. So obviously, guys, this is spoilers. We are not holding back. If you haven't seen Master of the Universe, put us on pause, put us on that to your watch list, and then come on back, because we don't want to ruin it for you. But if you have seen it, if you're one of the lucky few, we're going to dump everything we thought about it straight away. And so I think I'm going to start with our special guest, Pete. Master of the Universe. You're a lifelong fan like I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think?
I bloody loved it. I thought they got it spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. Everything about it from start to finish kept me entertained. I was absolutely loving it. It was really good.
They got the tone right, didn't they?
Yeah.
This was going to be the hardest thing for this film to do, was somehow capture the 80s vibe, but still make it really cool, and also make it attractive for new people to come on board and follow.
Yeah, the young people coming on board is so important for the franchise. And we had some kids behind us, and we know, because they wouldn't shut up, but they were there. But the funniest thing out of all that was that they had no idea, and they were loving this movie. And then at the very end, when they said, "Is that She-Man?" I don't know if you guys heard that. "Is that She-Man?" I thought, okay. This is a new generation.
Like it's certainly the mix that they've done for this film is it's pretty extraordinary in this day and age. You know, another franchise I follow is Star Trek, and Star Trek is that critical mass of falling to pieces because they don't try to attract to the younger crowd. And it's you see something like that, it's like, you guys existed 60 years, but you've forgotten about bringing the young people on board. Well, they've attempted it, but it just hasn't worked. But Rick, you're a relatively new fan to Master Universe.
Yeah, look, I obviously had the toys when I was a kid. I watched it when I was a young fella, but then kind of grew out of it, like a lot of people. But this, this this does feel, and if you are an 80s kid, this is the dream come true. And like you said before, Jace, it embraces that like campiness, that over the top nature of the original cartoon. So it's got a lot of that cheesiness and all that, but they do it so well, and they try not to reinvent the franchise unnecessarily. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people come into these things and they go, oh yeah, this is a major franchise, and they just kind of reinvent it. But here they just didn't. And
I think they learned that lesson in '87, didn't they? That's when they tried to reinvent it, and look what we got.
Yeah. Look what we got.
What we got.
But it you know, I like it, to Pete's point of view as well. I had fun. I had so much fun watching the movie. The experience was great. Visually, everything looked spectacular. But when I left the cinema, I was still on a buzz, and then days after, I still was as well. So, and hearing those kids as well, and they were young kids. They weren't, you know, teenagers. We're talking, you know, 6, 7, 8, whatever they were. Yeah, you know, and the family came out, and it
was so good.
Yeah. So,
I think there are some key things. Number one, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Like the comedy in this works because they know exactly what film they're making. So it is a bit of a wink and a nod at the audience sometimes, but just done so well. I mean, literally, you've got Fisto turning to Ram Man and so give him head. Like, holy shit. Like they're doing that kind of stuff. I think also was absolutely a genius thing to do was to make He-Man a bimbo. Like Adam in this is pretty fucking dumb. Like he's pretty stupid dude.
Yeah. It's where the humor comes into it. They've just done it. They've done it right.
Yeah.
Even as He-Man, it took a bit of time for him to come around.
Yeah, and I love that though. I love that. You know, even the joke at the end where he's in full Adam Prince attire, and him and Cringer go run off to change, and the rest of them go, "Oh, should we just let him go? Just let him do."
Yeah, we all know he's going to change.
Should we look the other way? But it's cool that they kept the transformation of Battle Cat and Cringer a secret. They didn't show. Which leads into if they do another movie, obviously that's going to be one scene everyone's going to be waiting for.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll get to that, but they have absolutely set their sequel up.
Absolutely.
I think the thing that's going to surprise the general audience the most is they're going to have to enjoy Jared Leto performance now. Something that most of the audience doesn't want to do, but his performance as Skeletor here, it's pretty damn good. Skeletor is a major highlight of this movie. Like, without question, if they didn't get him right, the movie doesn't work. You know,
absolutely.
He looked good. His voice was great. And if you didn't know it was Jared Leto, you wouldn't know it was him at all.
You wouldn't know it's him, which may be good if he doesn't want to come back. We can replace it pretty easily. No, but I thought he did a wonderful job. And also he balanced that thing of Skeletor being terrifying and genuinely threatening at times, which he is in this film, to comedic moments. Like he calls someone boo. Like that's directly.
Yeah.
And of course, and it's a big spoiler, this one, but my lord, the different versions of Skeletor. My favorite thing. Office attire, Skeletor holding the
Office attire.
He's my favorite.
There was what, Jim Skeletor? He was in the gym.
Was Jim Bro Skeletor. There's Date Night Skeletor.
That's right, Date Night. And then the Office.
Just something you wouldn't expect, you know. There's no reference point for that before. But it's even they're inserting fresh ideas into this. You know, one of the other things I just, because it's such a visual feast, the color of this film.
Yep.
People are not going to talk about it because most people are not going to care. But it is so rare in today's world with film that we are getting so much vibrant color. Because that's the one thing that I think is also a reason people are remembering this film. Because it's gorgeous to look at. It's so bright and upbeat. And like the idea that they made Eternia a place that you genuinely want to live, it's pretty dope.
Yeah. No, it was. It was really good. It was very much say maybe a bit Guardians of the Galaxy kind of bright, colourful kind of movie. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's totally on brand. It's absolutely correct to the toys that we all own. That's a big part of the He-Man universe. It was that mix of, science fiction, like camp science fiction meets like barbarians.
Flash Gordon meets Conan the Barbarian, right?
Yeah. And they know that too because we get those references in the movie. Like even the music they use in this film. Like, I'm sorry, the hair stood up the back of my neck when they were playing like the theme from Highlander. That Queen song. Yeah. I thought, that's perfect. I thought the music choices were great. The theme was amazing. It's got a good, catchy theme. Yeah.
And what about the cameo from Dolph? Like, I just think that was fantastic. I think they did that so well, and it paid just respect to him, kind of like passing that torch to the new generation, and just the way they did it was just beautiful. Loved it.
It wasn't overdone at all. It was good. Yeah.
You're in my spot. You're in my spot. And he's
but even in his Safe Journey, he does the thing from the 87 film, which I thought was just really cool. I really struggled to find weak links in the characters. But Rick, you did have an immediate reaction to a character right at the end of this film.
I did.
You want to talk about that?
At the end, we all kind of, looked at each other. We all like, oh my God, this is fantastic, and then it was anything like, and I just couldn't get Brie Larson. She just, as Evil Lynn.
Alison Brie.
Alison Brie. Sorry. Yeah. I couldn't just, I couldn't gel with her. I didn't feel like she was Evil Lynn to me. But then you explained something to me, Jason. I kind of got in my head and go, okay, maybe, that's the way, the version of what they were going for.
Look, she looked closer to a real life version of the 82 Evil Lynn action figure. More so, I mean, she didn't have the translucent green skin that you originally got from the OG figure, but she didn't. She didn't have a hell of a lot to do with this. She had minor things to do, but I think you would find that, given the right circumstance, she could pull it out. I like Alison Brie. I thought she was pretty good in there. Was she the strongest out of all of them?
No. They didn't really make her evil enough, kind of thing. She didn't have a lot to do with anything really, did she? Skeletor
I mean, she was still in the background trying to scheme. The only issue I would say with it is that traditionally, I know her as always 1 or 2 steps ahead of Skeletor at any time.
Yeah.
Like she wants, but she's smart enough to take control, but for some reason she stops herself. Like she keeps trying to teach. I mean, for all of that character, I've always known that she could be big Skeletor's ass any day, take over the home. She's running shit. But she never quite kind of does. So maybe that's why they held back. But if that's the criticism, guys, I mean, holy moly. I mean, look at who they cast. That kid, Nicholas, who's an English kid, like, he's phenomenal as Adam and He-Man. I'm totally in with that kid. I thought he did a great job. The young lady they got to play Teela, I thought she was an excellent.
She was awesome.
She was awesome.
Yeah. And then we get to see, which I was surprised at, Idris Elba in a much more animated role for him, in the sense that he was funny at times. Dude.
He was
hilarious.
Drunk version of him was good.
Drunk version of him. Yeah.
What do we think?
He's gonna go back down in my spew.
Some great moments. Some great moments. What did you think of the henchman, Pete? Like Skeletor's henchman. Besides.
I thought the strongest one and the best was definitely Trapjaw.
He looked great.
Trapjaw was awesome. Yeah, the actor even who played Trapjaw just spot on, man. Spot on.
The way they defeat him is like, they're not going to. They're doing it. Like, it's great. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
actually, I want to
it was
talk.
good that No, go ahead. Go.
Oh no, please keep going if you like.
I've lost it. I'll get back to
No,
it.
it's all good. No, the thing is about this movie is leading off what you're saying, Pete. The action scenes are pretty extraordinary, I think.
Yeah,
At times, He-Man's battle at the end when he is just slaying dudes left, right, and center was pretty great. Was pretty damn good action scene. And then that scene with him and Skeletor, I love the high frame rate punch, and then it just slows, and that's how he takes it down. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was
really beating the shit out of him. You can see it.
Yeah. So,
even the scene where all the other henchmen as well. So it was Spikor, and I don't remember the name of the guy with like the pig snout and the hook. Can't remember his name.
It's Pig, something Pig.
Okay, yeah.
That
scene there
from the '87 version in this movie too. You know, the one with the white hair.
Yeah.
That's from the movie. That wasn't an original.
Yeah, he was in that one as well. Yeah, that character. Yeah. Like that was badass. That scene. Like that was just.
Yes.
Spikor getting stuck to the ceiling and.
That scene is it Beastman? Is that him? When he comes into Earth and he finds Adam and then Tila saved him. And that whole scene on the bridge, I just thought that was done really, really well. The CGI and everything done well. It was just smooth.
And they've done that. You know, I was a bit concerned when the synopsis of this film originally come out and they talked about Adam's on Earth and here we go again. Why are we on Earth? This should be on Eternia. But it was necessary for him to do it this way, I think.
Yeah.
And it actually really added to the film because how they handled that. We got our great introduction to him as a boy, which was really great because we established all the main characters really quickly.
I love that it didn't start on Earth. It was perfect.
Yeah. It was perfect. And then the whole stuff on Earth, highly watchable and entertaining. And in most films, when you get things like that, that's when a film would slow down. Yeah. But they make it. That whole scene inside the comic book store, named The Fright Zone, which I loved, was amazing. It was hilarious.
He just wants that sword. He found the sword.
And even the manager going, "Are you single?" Like at the end, like all of it.
It was so good, and the Easter egg of Turak, the barbarian, which was originally the first basis
prototype. Yeah,
so awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was incredible. Yeah,
everyone knows the nostalgia of it, and you don't have to be a fan to enjoy this movie. And I love it.
Whether you knew that or not, if you know it, that's awesome. Like we knew it. Look at that. But if you're just watching the movie, it's really 100%. Funny. This stuff.
As a movie on its own, even if you haven't seen it, it's just
yeah.
And that's what excites me most about this film. It is for everybody.
It is.
This isn't just for the fans. They made it for everybody.
Yeah. And what I loved is that how we were talking about how he wanted the sword and how he's on that date and he's telling everyone he's just because he's like he said he was just like he's a dumb Adam, right? He's just like a toy boy. He's a dumb one. He's telling everyone that he's from this other planet and and he needs to find this sword and everyone thinks he's crazy now. But I love that how he's getting chased at the end by Beastmaster to get into the ship and he turns around and he goes, "I told everyone I'm not crazy."
That's great.
Running
not
gag.
Specifically you people, but
it was just so good. It's just
the comedy is really great, and I like the world building is actually extraordinary in this, and in the sense that they not only establish the characters really quickly, we get to know the geography of Eternia real quick and really brilliantly shot because we need to establish where the key points are. Okay, where's Eternos? It's right there. Where's Castle Grogstad? Well, it's actually just there. Where's and even with Stake Mountain, we got a sense of where that was. So, and again, that's just expert filmmaking, which is Travis Knight, the director of this film. I want to point out most notably made that stop motion animation film called Kubo and the Two Strings. But he also made the best damn Transformers movie they made. Bumblebee. So when I'd heard they gave it to him, I felt good about it, and damn, he delivered. He over-delivered on this film. I don't know if this film is going to be uber successful financially, in the terms of what will make the general public happy with numbers. But this film is a hit no matter what. Mattel know they're on a winner here because it's just not just a movie that like they're dependent on for this to be profitable. It's the toy lines. We're here to sell toys, guys. And they've done a fantastic job with all of a sudden there was nothing for years. It was hard to get toys. And now we've got 4 lines immediately. Isn't it 4 toy lines? The Barbie line. There's a really smaller one. There's your $12, $13.
Your medium one. And then your higher range.
Chronicles. They call it?
Chronicles.
Yeah. So
everyone's jumped on board, like Sideshow Studios and Hot Toys. They've all released them ready for next year.
I
think it's going to be the sleeper hit of. I think it'll be the sleeper hit. I think they put it in IMAX now. I think it's going to kick some butt.
That's big news, Pete. That sends a very strong message. Because if now that it's in IMAX, that is saying, out of all the films that are out, we believe this film will be profitable for us if we put it on IMAX. And that's
you know what else is coming out on the same day on June 4th is Scary Movie. Was it Scary Movie 4?
Yeah.
Like that's another one that hasn't been out for a long time, which is not going to make any money.
It'll get drowned out. It'll get drowned out
by this, 100%.
It's actually the wrong time to release Scary Movie.
And then Toy Story 5 a week later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You released Scary Movie 5. You put that in late September, early October. That's where
it. Yeah.
That's horror month.
Toy Story, well, again, that's the kids. That's going to be $1 billion movie.
Without question. No one's going to touch Toy Story 5 when that comes out, But back to Master Universe, I think no matter what financially is, this is a hell of a successful movie.
Yeah.
And we've got to talk about the setups because they don't F around. There are 3 highlights at this end of this film that I've got to talk about. One of them, which I almost shed a tear because I was so with joy because I couldn't believe they were actually doing it. The moral of the story done by Orko.
Yeah.
The thing that we got in the end of every episode of He-Man and Master Universe, where there was a moral to each one. And Orko does it. And it's fantastic. And I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I feel like the next few moments is kind of like that meme from the guy that used to run the wrestling. When he's a little bit excited, then he gets a bit more excited. Who's the guy who used to run WWE? What's that guy's name? Vince McMahon. The Vince McMahon meme where he's got his chair and then he falls over. That's what I feel like the end of the film is because we get that moment followed like a jaw-droppingly, holy fuck, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's with She-Ra.
She-Ra. Yeah.
What did you think, guys, when you saw She-Ra?
I think She-Ra might be the next one to like origin kind of story to lead into the whole thing. I think there's going to be like a bit of an origin story of She-Ra.
She-Ra's got a really interesting origin story because really her story comes from being lied to her whole life. There's trauma attached to Adora. Like she's been convinced that she's been on the right side her whole life. So there's lots to mine there. So I hope they do that.
To get to see Hordak and the Horde Troopers and
a
whole new lot of characters is going to be good.
And there was one scene we did kind of step out on. So we didn't know because we couldn't believe, but it's very brief. I've seen it actually online. So I know that, and it's just a moment where there's a skull at the end. Evelyn picks up the skull, says a one-liner, basically indicating that Skeletor will return, which is pretty obvious. Nobody thinks he's really dead. You can't be. What a banger of a movie!
Can I just say, who I wanted to see more of was the sorcerer, Monica. What's her name? Monica, the sorcerer.
Yeah, the chick from
I thought it was great. I wanted to see more of her. be honest. I thought she's better, definitely
very
better than.
She wasn't in it a lot, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing about Sorcerer, you can't actually expose all the awesome stuff she knows
Too much.
because there's always need to be an element of mystery with the sorceress.
Yeah.
You know, even at the beginning of the film, she's like, go through the she doesn't really give the kid like a logical reason to go through the tunnel. It's
Just grab the sword. Go.
Take this, you're gonna save everybody, get through the tunnel. Like, I wonder why the kid wasn't just diving in there.
Then he lost the sword.
And even with Roboto, when I first saw the trailer, I thought, oh, it's
not right.
Looking like a Lost in Space robot. And they didn't put the mechanisms in it, and it doesn't look like Roboto. But by the end of it, I'm like, okay, it all makes sense now.
It all makes
sense. They put the clear chassis, and then we had the red and the blue cogs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Perfect. And that was how I envisioned Roboto. So that all made sense. It was good.
I wonder if this film could have been made at any other time, because it takes a real sense of we're going to embrace it all. Rather than if you look at films over the last 25, 30 years, there's always been that instinct, and Ricky kind of mentioned it earlier, to change things up.
Yeah.
You know, infamously, X-Men 2000. We can't have them in the suits. They've got to be in black leather. No one's going to accept it. And yet we know now, coming up in Doomsday, Cyclops is in old school X-Men, like animated series uniform. And, you know, and I think with this film too, we needed all those films to come so they could really just go for it. So I'm going to rate. I'm going to, normally we don't really rate a lot, do we, Rick? Sometimes.
Not really. No.
This one does. This is an 8.59 out of 10 for me. Yeah. And I'd rarely go this high, but I think this is the blockbuster of the year. It's my favorite film of the year. In a year where we had Project Hail Mary, which was phenomenal. Maybe it's my bias. I don't give a shit. 9 out of 10. Screw it. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Jace.
Yeah, I would say this.
Pete, what do you reckon? What's your 9 out of 10?
I'd say 9 out of 10. Yeah. It's been a while where I've gone, I want to go back and watch it, and I can't wait to go back and watch it. It's been a while. I even said to Pam tonight. It
pissed me off this week. I couldn't go and see it.
Yeah, I wanted to go and see it again. But I said to Pam tonight, when this comes out on streaming, I'm going to get you boys over and we're going to watch it in the cinema room.
Yeah.
I don't get to use it anymore. And
100%.
It just takes a special movie for me to put effort in, because the girls have destroyed. This is one that I need to watch again.
I think so too. And it's like I was saying to Megan, I said, I know I've given up on physical media. I've got a few box sets, but I've essentially got rid of my collection and went streaming. But I'm like,
you're going to get
no way I can't not own a physical copy of this.
Yeah.
I just have to own it. Like, so, which is a big deal. It's just like I said, this year it's been already a couple of phenomenal films, but this thing I just went, nah. This I've waited 39 years.
It pulls at the heartstrings for our generation too, you know.
It does.
Yeah. Well,
right amount of nostalgia, right amount of modern ingredients.
Yeah.
And the fact that is the best thing in the world. We've already mentioned it. It's made to attract kids.
It will.
There's a future for this franchise now.
Yeah, I remember when I was talking to Mattel. Yeah. And I said to the guy who runs Mattel Australia, like, we need the kids. Everything we do, everything that's advertised, marketed, like, the kids are the future. Otherwise, it just dies with our generation.
100%.
And I'm seeing other franchises really suffer because they haven't been so forward thinking. You know, and it's what a treat of a film. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you my rating if you want.
Oh, yes, Rick. Yes, I wouldn't mind your rating. Sorry, mate.
I'm going 8.5 only because of Evil Lynn. But
because they turned him into mulch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was actually really sad that Mossman went down.
Come on, so good. But hilarious, and the adult innuendos is just fantastic in this.
Yeah.
So
like the whole thing about Fisto You're
Fisto,
Fisto because you fist people. Like,
Fist people
come
and
on, man.
give them head.
Give it in
Yeah,
the middle of a battle.
How do
It's
you
just
go
like,
over the 6-year-old
Yeah.
head?
oh,
Like,
100%.
But
they
won't
wouldn't
get it,
right.
but the adults are getting the comedy
Yeah,
where they
it's
need it.
So adults are laughing, kids are laughing. It's
Even
right.
Mechanic calling him Alan. It's got
Yeah.
Adam.
That's right,
Alan.
That's right, Alan.
Hey, Mechanic got a glow up, you know. My favorite character out of all of him and always has been is Stratos. I loved Stratos as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Got an animation cell up here of Stratos that a mate got for me over in the US. And no Stratos in this film, but right at the end, they mentioned they're off to Avalon. And I was like, that's enough for now. You just got to show me Avalon. You got to show me Stratos in the next film.
There was no merman, so he's going to be a key villain.
It's actually smart, wasn't it? Holding characters back. There's
of course.
Bunch of characters.
Yeah.
We may get Rio Blast, Snout Sprout, or who knows who we're going to get in the future.
Even Buzz-Off wasn't in it, like another key
Buzz-Off
character.
wasn't in it. Yeah. I mean,
can we just say how good was the opening with Cringer doing as the line?
Actually, the MGM logo.
MGM logo. So good.
Phenomenal.
Even Cringer's voice, the young kid that did it, and it was just really good.
You
really
were surprised, Ace, when he was speaking, when he first.
I didn't think they were going to do him talking. So as soon as he started talking, I'm like, fuck me, they're really going for it.
It's fucking on.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah. So, wonderful. Wonderful. All right, guys. Well, that was Masters of the Universe. I mean, clearly, you got to go and see it if you haven't seen it. If you've been watching this and you've seen it, you kind of ruined it for yourself. So hopefully you're watching this after you've seen it. But we're not done. That wasn't the only film we went. But a few days earlier, about 5 days earlier, we went and saw a little. Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
We went and saw Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, Mandalorian Grogu. What can I say about this? I think this film has had a lot of over-the-top expectations on it. Straight off the bat. I think the audience, there's a lot of Star Wars bros who are putting a lot on this. And this movie is not going to hit perfect for everyone. But what I thought, and I'm just going to put it out there, I had a damn fun time with this movie. I know it's not perfect, but I enjoyed this movie. What were your instincts, Rick?
Look, I'm not as you know, Jace, you know me very well. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, but I watched the Mando series, loved it, loved everything about it. Grogu's just adorable, and he's just the best character. And we discussed this in the Masters of the Universe. It's the generation, and to see kids in that cinema with us getting up and standing up and clapping and just enjoying themselves was enough for me. And I had so much fun in this movie. I just loved it from start to finish. So I know
you're right about the kids too, and I'm like,
it's a generational
you can say
thing.
what you like, but look at their reaction. And they're the future for Star Wars as well. And I think Jon Favreau knows that.
Yeah. And it wasn't a Star Wars movie that continued on from anything. It was its own story, just like the series was its own independent. It was just a long movie instead of episodes. But I love Mando. I've got heaps. I've got Grogu right here.
I got a Lego Grogu right there. Yeah.
Love him. I've always been a fan, and I thought it was another great watch. There was maybe 5 minutes of downtime in the whole movie. The rest was just fun. Yeah.
And really, they should have called the movie Grogu and Mandalorian. Very much Grogu's movie. In fact, we get a 20-minute sequence of just Grogu in this film.
Yeah.
Like building his thing, looking after that really hilarious scene, trying to fit Mando into his little
hut.
Yeah. Which, mind you, his instinct, to build the same type of shape hut as Yoda would build.
Yeah,
which I kind of like, was a nice little nod. The fact that he goes and becomes a thief and tries to steal fish and makes that bond with that character, and then he goes off on the adventures with the little guys, little frinks, I think we're calling them. It really was Grogu's movie. But I also can understand if you're a diehard fan of Star Wars and you are putting expectations that this somehow connects to the universe, because I've heard a lot of people mention that, it's got nothing to do with the saga. No, it has to do with the TV show. And in fact, what they've done here is kind of gone, hey, if you've watched The Mandalorian, all 3 seasons, you're going to get a lot out of this. If you haven't, doesn't fucking matter. We're just going to give you this story. You can jump on board. And I think and I think a lot of the Star Wars bros have like kind of come at the movie for that. And to them, I say, fuck off. Like, this is a kid's movie. This is all it was ever meant to be.
Yeah, it's not even a Rogue One or an Andor. It's not serious. This is Grogu. And, you know, the ladies and the kids will be the #1 fans of Grogu.
Yeah.
You know, and he's awesome.
What I did laugh at as being a big fan is one of the more derided films in the Star Wars universe is actually the animated feature of the Clone Wars. Right? That is about Baby Rodder the Hutt and delivering Baby Rodder the Hutt. And we all hated that film. And they brought that character back and made him kick ass. I love Rodder the Hutt. Big fan of that character.
He's badass.
It was awesome.
But he's a good guy. He's a badass, but he's a good guy too.
Yeah, pretty sensitive dude as well. Emotionally intelligent. Like, could rip you to pieces. Had this wonderful bond with Grogu. He was great.
It sounds like you, Rick.
big fat fella.
big fella, emotional. And you got Grogu here. You got a bond with Grogu.
I got my Grogu off you, Pete. So
yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, like, one of the criticisms also made, which is probably a fair point, it is very much a series of vignettes, though. There's a thin overarching plot to this, but structurally, it almost looks like we're getting mini episodes within the film. And there are chapters to it. I think, in fact, if any notes I would have given was I would have actually added chapter titles to certain sequences to help break it up a little bit. But it may have done the one thing that you mentioned earlier, Pete, which was a real plus for this film, is this movie moves at a pretty whip state.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really sit long enough, does it, before it's up again and it's gone. We're off again on what's going on.
There was literally one 5-minute toilet break moment. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's it. It just kept going and going. It was full on. It was good.
Yeah. You know, the other thing about this film too is the criticism online how this thing is a failure. Have you heard that? A financial failure?
Yeah.
There is very two evenly split sides, and I've been doing my research on that. Is Mandalorian Grogu a failure? And I'm saying it's not. And here are my reasons. The people writing the article saying that it's a financial failure are basing it off an American domestic box office, which is very important. Don't get me wrong. But this is where Americans can become sometimes very narrow-minded. And I say this to my friends who I work with and whatever. They're very narrow-minded. They only think America exists and that's it. And then Australia has 12 people and the Prime Minister is like, they think the Simpsons.
We're all actors, aren't we?
Yeah, the Simpsons episode of Australia is a documentary. Like, that's how some Americans think. But this thing globally is going to be a smash hit. Do you think Star Wars for a minute or Lucasfilm is panicking in any way about the financial viability of this film?
Everyone knows this is going to be streamed on Disney, and I think it's going to make most of its money when it hits streaming.
Yeah,
it'll certainly be a draw card for people to sign up, and that's what they want.
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and I think it's the thing is, well, I think everyone else is forgetting, like Master of the Universe, and it's really interesting to see both these films within a week of each other, is they are both rewatchable as hell.
No.
Well, this movie is going to get played a lot in this household, whether I'm sitting there watching it or it's just playing in the background.
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Grogu has got that really great energy about it.
Oh, for sure.
I just love that from, like, like people saying it wasn't going to drag, and it didn't start to finish. Like, you were in the action, like, straight off. As soon
Yeah.
you
Well, we were
started.
in the D box. Those chairs didn't stop.
Oh yeah, with the whole
I was trying to have a drink, and I'm like, "This is just not working."
it's like yeah.
No,
But
that thing, 8080 or however you call it, 8080 scene was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that little walk that they had, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many great little moments, by the way. By the way, can I just say one of my favorite sequences? And like, there's a lot of questions around it, but you just got to let it go. The fact there's a moment with Grogu, sees this empty pram, runs up to it, jumps in it. Somehow this fucking pram could win a Formula One race. This thing is like the fastest pram in the galaxy. But hell, I just went with it. I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm loving the fact that the Mando is having to keep up with Grogu.
Yeah. Grogu's
And that's
definitely kicking ass in the movie.
He's kicking serious ass in this movie.
Yeah.
And by the way, how great is the Commando moment where we get the close up of him putting on the jacket, zipping up the thing?
Oh yeah,
All was missing was the black thing on his face. Yeah, but I love that. Those little moments too, as well.
Yeah.
Were you
and they really made you understand and emphasized on who is going to look after Grogu when Mando's gone. You know, the young looking after the old. They really put emphasis on that, going, what is going to happen to him?
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right, absolutely.
His
so
story will be interesting. Yeah.
Well, we never see him in the sequel. So do they deal with that or do they ignore that? I think they will handle it in such a way that Grogu's over here. While that's happening there, he's over here. And the fact of the matter is, the brilliant thing about Grogu is you could have him in a film with Rey and it can be basically the same age. Like, he'll look the same, you know? So they've got flexibility with Grogu, I think, which is really clever.
What I also loved about this movie is you had CGI and you had animatronics together.
A lot of animatronics.
Which was so good to see. Obviously,
the Franks were all just puppets. They weren't CGI.
A mixture of everything. So, you know, but you know, it's a Grogu movie. He steals this movie. That scene with Sigourney Weaver when they sit around that table and all he wants because he's always eating. Like
he's got non-stop hunger. Though. He's like a teenager.
And he just so good. Fun movie.
Yeah, I think this is unfairly maligned in many ways because all I can say is I had a great time. We knew the kids were having a great time with her. All the ladies love Grogu, like you said. They just love it. My wife is obsessed with Grogu. She's got about 4 Grogus in her office.
All the cute characters, Grogu, Stitch, all of the cuties.
All that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. It'll make a lot of and that's where people are now reminded, but just like Master Universe, there's a whole marketing arm behind this and a toy range for Grogu that just prints money.
I've got to say, I haven't seen much of it come out, not as much. But like push on it, I've seen more of Masters than I have Mandalorian.
Well, Masters is the event now. Yeah, because they've got a small amount of window, Rick, rather than we've been getting stuff on Mando since when 2020 was this first season. Yeah, by the end of that, we had a delay, remember, because they refused to let any toy manufacturers anywhere near Grogu because they wanted to keep it surprise. Yeah. And then we had that delay before the toys, but when they came, So it kind of echoed the original release of Star Wars with Kenner. Kenner was caught behind for that year.
Yeah.
We had the mail-ins, classic mail-ins.
Yeah, the mail-ins. That's why it was passed in. It was Hasbro that passed it up.
Correct.
Hasbro passed up Star Wars because the toys wouldn't be ready. And Kenner did the whole mail-in thing. And then they had to come up with Masters of the Universe because they fell well behind in that range of young kids and young boys. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what grabbed me about Master Universe going right back, and I do remember what the most appealing thing was the size. They looked sick. The box artwork was just next level. And they were big. Back then, like for me, that was probably the largest action figure I had ever seen to play with in that run because I was so obsessed with Star Wars stuff. It was all, even our G.I. Joes here were the small.
They were small.
Yeah. So
even the mask ones, I've seen some of them now in the shop. I couldn't remember them being that tiny, but the He-Man ones were definitely some of the bigger ones. I remember buying a lot of those rubber WWE Hulk Hogan ones as well. You remember the solid rubber? Because
that was the mid-80s, wasn't it? Yeah. Was that around the Transformers timeline too?
Yeah, Transformers as well. Yeah,
that was probably the last toy line at that point in my life before Mum and Dad were like, "Nah, we're not buying any more toys. Grow the fuck up." So and I think the last big one I got, because we weren't super rich, Pete. So I maybe didn't get as many Transformers as I got GoBots. All right, I got a few GoBots in the collection because they were the cheaper one. But on birthdays and Christmases, you get the big item. And the last thing I think I ever got for Transformers is Starscream, like the original Starscream, and I treasured that thing.
And where is he now? Where is he now?
I have no idea.
He's flown away.
I won't tell you what the
G1s are. I was like 9 or something.
He's bloody. The G1s are sought after a Starscream.
Oh man, I was a shocker as a kid with toys.
There you go.
Like, remember the little stand-up video games you get, like Donkey Kong, and light would come through the top, and they were, like, every time I got a video kind of handheld machine, I'd pull it apart. I wanted to know how it worked. I could never put it back together. I was a destructive little bugger when it came to that stuff.
Everyone was back then. I mean, it's hard to find it.
With our toys.
Pristine, but that's what you did. That's what you did.
That's for that reason.
That's right. Because
original Pokemon are worth all that money because kids play with them.
Mate, when you're
grabbing a box,
there was a guy I worked with actually, Pete, who goes down to your. I think he's in the. Do you do Warhammer stuff?
No, not so much. It's on main off-road Warhammer stuff.
Yeah. What kind of that stuff do you keep? Because I've been down to Kollector many times. I know that guy. I buy stuff from him.
Yeah.
I can't remember
it could have been anything from Lord of the Rings to.
Yeah, it could have been something like that. Yeah. But that kind of bounced to another guy who talked about how he's collecting Pokemon and someone said, "What's the most expensive card you've bought Pokemon?" He said, "Cost him $8,000. I don't know what it was. I can't remember the name of it. But that's what you're dealing with Pokemon, right? You get big bucks for that kind of crazy stuff. Well, I tell you which won't be pulled apart or sold for $8,000 because there's so many of them is Grogu. Oh, except for that real animatronic one they have.
They're promoting that one. That's the animatronic. Is so cool.
Like they're literally holding it, aren't they? Yeah, and it's being
Hasbro's made the proper animatronic Grogu. You can, it's like $700. Yeah, that's the one they've been promoting a lot.
Okay. Oh, I've seen it. Yeah. Okay, it's got different features. You can talk to it, and okay.
It does all this thing. Yeah,
pretty cool. I'd like to get my hands on one, but
yeah. If anyone can, Pete, it will be you.
Well, it's another $700, but
in our lifetime, just a really quick side note before we rate this film, because that's what we're here to talk about. Within 20 years, what are these things going to be like? They're going to be AI-driven, animatronic, pretty refined little creatures. All I'm saying to people of the future is, if you see a doll and it looks like Chucky, don't buy it in 20 years. For God's sake, all right?
Yeah.
Because you just know it's going to go wrong.
Any of those.
You just know it is. But anyway, back to this film. I had a lot of fun. I'm not going to rate it as high as Master of the Universe. I'm going to give this film a 7.5. But I mean that in a positive light, not a negative light. 7.5 for me. Yeah,
I'm going 8 for me.
Yeah, I'll go 8, but I'm a big fan of Mando and Grogu, so I'll go 8. I thought it was just I could have watched it as 3 or 4 episodes or one movie. I thought it was good.
Yeah, look, it's definitely not bad. I just definitely not bad, and it's definitely not the worst thing Star Wars has done at all. I think it's nice to go to the movies, and one of the things I liked about these spin-offs is it didn't have to be about the Star Wars saga, and this felt the most distant from that, and I think that's the big plus about this one.
I've always loved the movies where it's their own adventure. I love the Ewoks Battle for Endor movie.
I watched that
recently. I'm a big fan of the Ewoks movies, aside from Return of the Jedi, which was totally different. You know, those ones with their own story and their own adventures. I've always been a fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in the title. MOTU Grogu. It's in the fucking title. Like,
you know what you're gonna get, you know?
Next year we get a completely new in the future timeline film with Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, directed by Sean Levy, who directed last film was Wolverine and Deadpool. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. What does Ryan Gosling do and that other like Sean Levy do for Star Wars will be. Because if you watch did you guys see Project Hail Mary?
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah. It's something to behold. And
what streaming is that on? Is that streaming at the moment?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
It will be. Give it a couple of weeks, and I would say it'll be up for. But it's But it's
I do want to watch it. Oh, I love my sci-fi, so definitely.
Oh, you'll flip out at this.
One of my favorite movies of all time is The Martian.
Oh, dude, you're in for a treat. This is a bit more. It's just like The Martian pushing the element of it, but I'm a huge The Martian fan as well. So, you'll love that as well. Well, guys, that has been our review. But before we tie this up officially, and I think I may have forgotten about this, but let's get this shown. But Pete, again, thank you so much for help facilitating the tickets. It's been a blast.
No worries about it.
But we want to talk about where we can find you because, we're big fans clearly of the shop. Rick spends half his wage with you. And I bought a couple of really cool.
When Rick's phone goes off, he's like, "Oh, well, what the hell did he do?"
Rick coined it once for me when he was explaining Kollector World. It is the perfect place for a fan because no matter what level you are, no matter what your budget,
100%,
you're covered for there.
Yeah, we like to do it all, you know.
Yeah,
we like to mix it up, and we do it because I'm a collector. You can see, I'm a big fan. I'm a collector, and this is why I got into it. So, we're in Port Adelaide, guys. So, 104 Commercial Road. We're open every day except Monday. Down the bottom.
And let's also highlight the fact that not only are you at store going all that time, but you're everywhere around the country doing conventions and setting up stalls.
Yeah. Off to Sydney in 2 weeks.
I know.
And then off to Melbourne again 2 weeks after that. So I'm going to meet Christopher Lloyd. Rick, you're going to meet Christopher Lloyd.
We are. Me and Peter on the road. We're going to do a road trip. So I want to get some content, and we're going to do some stuff around that as well, definitely.
Can't wait.
Pete, you good? Yeah. Just massive thanks for me, Pete, for setting us up for
anytime,
and that. We really appreciate it.
Man. It was so good. Yeah, no worries, guys. Anytime.
It's me buying that first the Iron Man helmet off of you, seeing you at that little, was it the Woodville toy show here? And then coming into the store and actually meeting you and having a chat and how good the service was and how much passion you had is so good to see, because I buy a lot of collective stuff, as you know, but when you buy it off the big boys, they don't care. There's no care factor to it.
There's none, because they're young people working at a retail outlet.
Yeah. And when you're a big boy, if something doesn't have the hype anymore, guys, they're gonna get rid of it. You might find it in the future.
I cannot express how much your store has changed a lot of my collection, which is great. I've got a lot of things which I just clearly would not have got. A lot of the signed stuff, like the last piece I bought was the Hulk. Off you, signed by Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee. I just wouldn't get those stuff from the big guy. So I really appreciate it. And I'll continue. And please, guys, I'm serious. Please go see Pete. All the links will be down below. All his socials, everything will be linked. Go see Pete and his beautiful wife and everyone down there, because you guys are going to enjoy it. So, tops to you, Pete.
Appreciate it.
What's your big sellers at the moment, Pete? As we start to sign.
Yeah, go for it, Pete.
Well, look, we do a lot of blind boxes now. A lot of people are loving their little blind boxes, but that's anywhere from Toy Story to Jurassic Park to Jaws. Look, Back to the Future, Masters of the Universe, Star Wars. They're always big for me because that's my clientele. That's what I understand. It's what I get. But we do it all, like comics. People are coming in now buying comics and cards, and we're a one-stop shop. And if we can't get it, I'll do my hardest to try and get it.
And you custom as well, Pete. You do custom shoes, like you make your own shoes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of masters, I might as well show you.
Yeah.
I did wear my He-Man. I did wear my He-Mans, but
these are the
Skeletors.
Yeah.
Custom.
Oh wow!
Check them out. They look phenomenal. They look phenomenal. Look at them.
You can see that. Hang on, the camera's the opposite way here.
That's fine.
Yeah,
you can see it.
You got them.
We customize sneakers, so if anyone's keen, let me know.
So you go. There's another element. It's not just collectibles. So if you collect sneakers, custom-made sneakers by Pete.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, guys. We're going to sign out now. Thank you both for doing the review. I think
that's awesome.
It's nice to be able to talk about movies that are good.
Yeah.
It's been a while. There's been some good movies, but they're really pumping it this year. This is a big year.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Rick, do you want to do your plug your social thing real quick, and we'll get out of here?
Yeah, guys, just like I said, follow myself here on the channel at Pop Culture Spread. Follow Jace as well. He'll shout his out, and follow Pete. But all the links for everyone will be down below, guys. So like, follow, share, and just subscribe, and that will help the algorithm, guys. We really, really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
and just look up VHS Jace. You'll see that I'm a whore all around the place.
You are.
I'm on so many shows and channels and doing all that as well. So what do you say? All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Hanson Road the other night, Jace.
Yeah. Hey, how else am I supposed to get lunch money, guys?
With Fisto.
I was hungry.
Fisto and Ramman were there with you, mate.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, I had to give him a head, but I headbutted him.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of it. This is degrading into slop at this point. See ya, everybody. We'll catch you next time.